this home was built by none other than Madame Delphine McCarthy Lalaurie. This is the famous or infamous Lalaurie Mansion. So, Madame Lalaurie, Delphine Lalaurie, was heiress to one of the largest fortunes in colonial Louisiana. Now, her family was very, very rich, and we all know what rich families do with their young daughters when they come of age, which is they marry them off. Absolutely. And that is what the Lalauries did to their young daughter. Her first marriage was at 13 years old. She was married off to a gentleman twice her age. Now, they were married for 4 or 5 years, and the gentleman dies under mysterious circumstances. Well, they marry her off again when she's about 20 years old. Again, to a man twice her age. She has about 4 children with him. They're married for 8 to 10 years. And again, he dies under mysterious circumstances. Well, at this time, 1830s, Madame Lalaurie has had enough. She's inherited her first husband's wealth. She's inherited her second husband's wealth. By this time, she's also inherited her family's wealth. She is worth in excess of $20 million at the time. Now, if you were to translate that amount into today's money, she was worth in excess of $700 million. She could have purchased the entire Louisiana purchase by herself. In 1803, the Louisiana purchase was $15 million. She was worth $20 million. She could have did the entire Louisiana purchase and still had pocket change left over. Well, after being married off to 2 older men, she says enough is enough. She marries another gentleman. His name is Dr. Lalaurie. Fresh from the Sorbonne, he graduates dead last in his class as an orthopedic surgeon. And the thing about Monsieur Lalaurie is he was 15 years younger than Madame Lalaurie. Now this is the first documented cougar attack in the city of New Orleans. Well, if you're worth $700 million, this is the place to be. The original home was not 3 stories, it was only 2 stories. And it was the place to be. The finest champagne, the finest wine, the finest food to be found in the city was right here at this location. But Madame Lalaurie did have 8 to 12 enslaved people working for her, but their condition was not good. They were not cared for very well. Well, there was another young little girl who was also working for Madame Lalaurie. And one day she was combing Madame Lalaurie's beautiful long red hair. Her name was young Leah. And as she was combing her hair, Leah caught a snag in Madame Lalaurie's hair. Well, Madame Lalaurie flew into a rage and grabbed a riding crop and started beating him. Well, young Leah had nowhere to escape. They were on the 2nd floor here on the gallery. In between the courtyard, between, you see the main building, there's a second building auxiliary to that. It's called the slave quarter. If you look around, all of the buildings have a slave quarter attached to them. Well, young Leah was in between the main building and the slave quarter, receiving the beating from Madame Lalaurie, and could not escape. Was forced over the balcony and to her death. Well, there was a crowd outside. They did see what had happened, and Madame Lalaurie was in big trouble because what she had done was violated what was called the Code Noir, the Black Code. Now, what the Black Code did was regulate the treatment of enslaved people. It also regulated the treatment of free people of color, and it barred all Jewish people from any French colony. That's what Code Noir did. And it stated that you, as a slave owner, could chain, you could beat, and you could whip your enslaved person. But you could not mutilate, torture, or execute them. That was the job of the state. And she had violated code noir by taking an execution into her own hands. Well, an investigation was launched, and the authorities came to this home and they took away all of Madame Lallaurie's enslaved, 9 of them. But she's worth $700 million. Within 30 days, she had gone around town and repurchased each and every one of her enslaved people and brought them back to the location. Now, young Leah, she was fined for the life of young Leah. Any guesses how much the fine was?
$1.
A little more than that. $300. Now, this is how cold-blooded Madame Lalaurie was. To the Cabildo to pay the fine on her behalf. That's cold-blooded. Well, as we stated, Madame Lalaurie is worth $700 million. A few months' time, everything blows over. The parties start back up again, as if nothing ever happened. Well, that brings us to April the 10th, 1834.
My birthday.
Thursday afternoon. Now, you see that garage door there? There's an arched opening, and just beyond that, there's a garage door. We'll pass by there in just one moment. That is the location of the former kitchen for the entire home. Now, on that date, April 10th, a fire breaks out in that kitchen. The local fire brigade comes, and after extinguishing the fire and the smoke clears, they see there is an enslaved woman who is chained to the stove by her ankle. And she immediately confesses, yes, I did this. I started the fire. It was me who did this. Knowing that it was a violation of code noir and she would be executed. She stated that, I don't care, do with me what you will. Kill me right now. Just don't send me upstairs to that building there, because whoever goes up to the second floor of this building never returns. Well, the fire brigade is intrigued. They call Dr. Lalaurie. Please, sir, open this door. We would like to see what's inside. The door is chained shut. Well, Dr. Lalaurie states, well, whatever is happening in this building is the business of my wife and my wife alone. Well, the fire brigade says, well, sir, you can either go and get the key, or we will take our axes and we will chop this door down. Well, Dr. Lalaurie leaves in a huff, and he is never seen again in the city. Now, the fire department do break that door down. What they see is a human torture chamber upstairs on the second floor. Now, first of all, we need to talk about what code noir allowed as far as punishment is concerned. Now, as an enslaved person, if you were to run away, first offense, they are going to cut your ears off, and then they are going to brand you with the fleur de lis, the symbol of the city. Second offense, they are going to cut your hamstrings so that you can't run, and they will brand you again with the fleur de lis, the symbol of the city. Third offense, no questions asked, execution. Now, major bad thing to do. What they would do is put an iron mask on your face. Now, prior to putting this iron mask on your face, they would put anything in your mouth from stinging insects to feces from another person. They would place this mask on your face and then keep it there for a period of time to teach you not to steal food. Well, what was found on the second floor went well beyond any of those treatments. There were 7 enslaved men who had iron collars around their necks. These iron collars had spikes within them, and the collars were chained to the ceiling. They were on their tiptoes, and if they were to come down, those spikes would go into their neck as a form of sleep deprivation to keep them awake. They also had the flesh of their arms torn from their bodies. And it was said that their limbs were unnaturally elongated. Dr. Lalaurie, being an orthopedic surgeon, they were doing experimentation on the enslaved people. There was also a person found in a box, 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot. Their limbs had been broken and reset at odd angles so that this person was able to fit in that size of a box. Now, when they were released, the only movement that they could make was as if they were a human crab. That's how it was described in the New Orleans Bee at the time. Well, they're bringing these people down the stairs, and the crowd that had gathered to see the fire sees the condition that these people are in. And they are upset. Just then a carriage appears, right at the front of the house. Madame Lalaurie calmly walks out with her bags, gets in the carriage, and she herself rides away, never to be seen again in the city. Now, the crowd, after seeing the enslaved people, they were taken to the Cabildo. They burn and loot the entire structure. Burn it to the ground. There's nothing left except for walls and smoldering embers. And it's said that over 4,000 people in the city went to the Cabildo to view for themselves the condition that these enslaved people were in, because they didn't believe it. But it did turn out to be true. Now, the place burns down. The very next day, people are calling back to the fire brigade and to the police. They still hear voices, people screaming inside the home. The police come back.